programs including educational workshops in the fields of creative writing and journalism. For sulAtNIMO, workshops and talks will be held on these dates. On May 12, we have workshops on visuals of cinema, sounds of cinema, and emotions of cinema. On May 17 will be film talks on a glimpse of regional filmmaking, status quo, and its perspectives, and film appreciation talk, paano ba manood ng pelikula? For sulAtNIMO, Huni sa Balay, a workshop on home producing will be on May 11. On May 12 will be Musika ug Liriko, a workshop on songwriting. Lastly, sulAtNIMO will hold its workshops on the following dates. Workshops on spoken word poetry and feature writing will be held on May 11. Workshops on poetry, news writing, and editorial writing will be on May 12. The workshop for monologue will be held on May 13. What are you waiting for? Register now and be a part in this harvest of arts and culture, Ania, Harvest of Arts Festival. Panaglambigit 2022, LaSalle University Family Days, building communities to transform lives. Panaglambigit 2022.
Maayong adlaw, LaSalle! Hello mga manunulat. I extend my warm welcome to all of you. Please prepare yourselves and get ready for a fun and exciting day ahead of us. May I request everyone, if it's possible, to please turn on your cameras for us to have a more interactive discussion, even in virtual space. All right. Now, to formally start our workshop, we request everyone to please mute your microphones, for we will have our opening prayer. Let us put ourselves in the most holy presence of God. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Ania, LaSalle Harvest of the Arts Festival. sulAtNIMO holds a series of programs including educational workshops in the fields of creative writing and journalism.
Strength and wisdom.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. All right. Hello and good afternoon, participants. I welcome you all to sulAtNIMO Journalism Editorial Writing Workshop. At this point, let us watch and listen to a video of Dr. Filemon Bonita Blanco to enlighten us about our event.
Programs including educational workshops in the fields of creative writing and journalism.
sulAtNIMO. I conceptualized sulAtNIMO in 2019. I had a conversation with Sir Jesril Montes, who was then at the time the director of the McGill Writing Center of LaSalle University. And initially, when we had that, sometimes I always start creating projects over, simple conversations. And then suddenly, ding, again, I was very interested at the time to really develop a writing festival, a writing project for LaSalle University. And when Sir Jess approached me that he wanted to develop a writing workshop that the McGill Writing Center, the MWC at the time, will spearhead. And that's when I said, okay, then we'll have a writing project. And that's when I started, I always wanted to bring the Animo branding. And that's when I coined the term sulAtNIMO. With this, I started contacting my good friend Juan Iquez, Christian values in real life, to come to Osamis to conduct the first ever sulAtNIMO in November 2019. And that was the birth of sulAtNIMO. At the time when I had a discussion with Sir Jess, we wanted that the output of sulAtNIMO will be staged into a production, and it can be either the family days or in the university days. And then I was pushing that idea of, wow, it can be from sulAtNIMO to dulAtNIMO. So you have the output of sulAtNIMO will now be staged, will be mounted into a festival of performances, which we will call at dulAtNIMO. Unfortunately, pandemic came. So in November 2019, it only happened. And then, when the pandemic hit, we were on standstill. So that idea of producing whatever that will be developed from the sulAtNIMO and, kind of mentoring of the students of LaSalle who participated during that first workshop, that they will be able to create sort of 10-minute plays. Then eventually, we can be staged as a dulAtNIMO, and that was the trajectory of sulAtNIMO. I think that is for me what really inspires me to push through with sulAtNIMO, especially that it's not only me alone, but I have a partner who believes in this inside the university, Sir Jess, being the director of the MWC at the time. And I know that because the MWC with the LSU whole event. So I was there just to really guide them what to do next, what to prepare next. In the students, student writers of LSU Tingog, and of course under the MWC, they were there to support the conduct of sulAtNIMO. And that made my life easier because I was just there to facilitate, things that are needed. But the guys, the writers, were there to support, manage. We're there to manage the whole event. I think the success story of that first ever sulAtNIMO is that idea that we are able to present to the world that LaSalle University can organize a writing workshop, and eventually that we can invite experts from outside of Usamis to come to LaSalle University to facilitate or to train our aspiring writers in the area. I am hoping that sulAtNIMO with now, we're under the new festival management now and making it as a writing festival, that it will create more ripples. It will encourage more writers. I know that we have good writers in the area, in LaSalle University, for example. But again, there are no platforms for them. Of course, there are many writing festivals, writing workshops outside Osamis. But, for practicality's sake, it's difficult financially. But with sulAtNIMO, we can bring in experts in the field, in writing, in writing plays, in poetry, and the likes, to come to Osamis, to come to LaSalle University, and conduct these trainings or workshop for our young writers in the area. And I think, again, we position our LaSalle University position as, again, a center for culture and the arts in this part of the country. And we are not only providing, we are providing the young writers in the area through this festival. So they don't have to really go to, far, like in Iligan with the Iligan National Writers Workshop, or even in Bacolod, or maybe in Manila, but we can bring experts to come in positioning LaSalle University as an organizer of a writing festival in this part of the country. So I am hoping that in the future, that idea of sulAtNIMO and the trajectory to sulAtNIMO will be realized in the future. And that's my wish for sulAtNIMO, to follow that trajectory, that from sulAtNIMO, the students will be mentored to develop original scripts, and then eventually will be staged to what we call as dulAnimo, or a play festival. I am Felimon Blanco, the founder of sulAtNIMO, and I am formally turning over the festival management of sulAtNIMO to the LSU Educational and Digital Media Services team, headed by Mr. Ted Najentakan. I am wishing that you continue providing, creating platforms for the young writers in the area, and really pushing for the students to write, and let their works be staged in the future under dulAnimo. Congratulations, way to go, sulAtNIMO. Thank you. I am forever Lasallian, Animo LaSalle.
sulAtNIMO
Thank you so much, Dr. Blanco. And now let us get to know our keynote speaker for today's workshop.
Maandas. Mandiasis Pamaran is a freelance writer with a career that spans over 20 years. Her byline has appeared in print newspapers and magazines and on online news and lifestyle sites. She uses her platform for equality and the reopening of the tourism industry that has been severely impacted by the pandemic. She is a fan of the Oxford comma.
Everyone, let us give our virtual round of applause for our speaker for today's workshop, Miss Maan Diasis Pamaran.
Hello, good afternoon. I didn't realize I'm again wearing green. It's not my favorite color, but I don't know why. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon sa ating mga students. Congratulations to Sir Felimon for setting up something this ambitious and this helpful for the students there in Ozamis. First, I would like to know, doon sa chat, I will ask a question. Who among you are journalism students? Chat ninyo, taas kayo ng kamay, raise ang hand. Who are the journalism students here in this group? Wala. What majors are you taking? Okay, mahiya sa akin. I'm so informal ha. Parang ano lang tayo dito. Parang magkukwentuhan lang tayo. So, sino ang Jorn students? Sino ang Mass-Com students natin in the audience? English. Okay, si Janine English. How about the others? You're all English then, Keisha. Ganda ng pagka-spelling ng Keisha mo. Diba? Parang tayo natukumo guys ha. Parang so, kayo mahiya sa akin. If you wanna jump in and ask questions. Huwag lang song request. Ano pa, English, we are all English majors ba? I see, teka. Ian and Kurt, what are you taking? Engineering. Campus journalist nung high school. ABCom. Lex Lee, nag-NSPC ka ba or RSPC?
RS lang po.
May nag-RSPC?
RS lang po.
RS. Very good. Nagjo-judge ako ng RS at saka ng NSPC. I have so much faith in the talent of our students. Nakikita ko talaga there's quality work. ABCom. All right. Wala na. Senior high school. Okay, so very mixed pala yung audience natin today. Wala na nag-RSPC sa inyo. Wala na nag-campus join. Is there anybody here who is with the school paper now? Engineering. Okay. BSIT. So very varied pala tayo. Okay. So ang topic, architecture. Wow. Ang galing. This is a very diverse audience. Okay. Engineering din si France. Sino ang nagbabasa ng dyaryo sa inyo? And kung nagbabasa kayo, anong dyaryo yon? Or a news site? What newspapers or news sites do you read? May or naka-TikTok na lahat? Lexley, ikaw, anong binabasa mong newspaper?
Sa Inquirer po, yung site.
Inquirer, okay. Janine, ikaw, what news sites or newspapers or magazines do you read? Yeah. I will also tell you right now, we have the honor of being joined by Sir Raymond Gregory Turbino. He is from Malaya. I am from different publications. Ironically, lahat ng newspapers natin nasulatan ko na, except for Malaya. So, sisingilin ko si Sir Raymond doon. Sir Raymond.
Magandang hapon sa lahat. Nandito lang po sa background.
Yan ang isa sa mga haligi ng ating industriya.
You make me feel so old na.
Okay, so umpisahan ko na yung aking presentation. Una kong tanong pala, ito. Una kong tanong, may tanong pa ako. Sinong mas maganda? Si Catherine or si Nadine? Yan, every talk I give, that's the first question I ask. Sino ang mas maganda? Catherine or Nadine? Walang Jadine dito, walang Katniel dito, wala na nga palang Jadine. Ay, thank you naman noon. Nadine. Si Sir Raymond, Nadine daw. Dali, kasi may chika ako. Nakasama dyan sa tanong na yan. But I want to know first, sino sa tingin nyo ang mas maganda sa kanilang dalawa? Dali, pag hindi nyo ni-share, hindi ko isisplok yung chika ko. Nadine. Dalawa na yung Nadine. Walang Katniel dito. Catherine. Yan na. May Catherine na. Isa pa. Si Kath. Okay. Catherine. Mukhang mas marami na ang Catherine, ha? Huwag daw mahiya, sabi ni Sir Raymond. Catherine. Sa mga boys, sino mas maganda? Si Fran sabi niya Catherine daw. Okay, so ito na. Before I start my serious talk, mag-splok na ako. Catherine din, si Eduardo at saka si Ken. Ken, Judith, Catherine. Alam mo bang magkamukha lang silang dalawa? Hindi lang ako nagsasabi niyan because I have spoken to the two of them on separate occasions. Hindi lang ako nagsasabi niyan na magkamukha talaga silang dalawa. Ang nagsabi niyan mismo sa akin si James. Because when I spoke to James, the first time na na-meet daw niya si Nadine and in-introduce sa kanya as his love team partner, nagulat siya kung bakit daw pinapares sa kanya si Catherine. So yon, that's your answer. Iisa ang itsura nilang dalawa. Yon. So may trivia na kayo, ha? Alright, so let's start. My talk will be about, sorry, that's a hazard of where I live. Catherine, hindi magkamukha talaga silang dalawa, guys. Lalo na pag wala silang makeup. Okay, I'm sorry, that's a hazard of where I live. The train station passes right outside my village. Okay, so our topic today is about the editorial. What is an editorial? Tama si Renz, both. Ang editorial is that part of the newspaper na meron kasi tayo sa newspaper, di ba? Iba-ibang section yan. Merong front page, merong international news, merong national news, diba? May cartoons, may comics, may sports, may lifestyle. Ang editorial, that is at the opinion page. Sa opinion page, andun din yung columnists natin where they share their opinions. Ngayon, anong pinagkaiba ng editorial from the columns, from the opinion columns? The opinion columns are written by experts in their field, diba? May byline yan. Yung editorial natin is written by the editor or the publisher of the newspaper, and it has no byline. It signifies the stand of the newspaper on a certain issue. Ano bang issue natin ngayon? Di ba yung election? Di ba? So, asahan nyo na that the editorial page or the editorial article of the newspapers since May 9 has been about our elections, the results, the complaints, di ba? The counting. So that's what an editorial is. Ngayon, let's start na please. Next slide. Yan. Let's talk context. Kasi ang editorial, opinion mo yan eh. Ngayon, di ba, nauso yung respect my opinion. Di ba? Usong-uso yan. Sino na ang nabara niyan? Ako nabara na ako niyan. No story is fair if it consciously or unconsciously misleads or even deceives the reader. Fairness includes honesty and leveling with the reader. Ito ay galing sa Washington Post. Okay. So, ngayon kasi napakalaganap na ng disinformation, which makes it harder for us in the industry to do our jobs. But, yun nga, trabaho namin yan ang magsabi ng totoo. And the editorial as a whole, kasi nga, editor na or publisher na ang nagsulat nitong piyesa na ito, it means that it is not just something that was pulled out of thin air. Next slide, please. Sir Raymond, you can jump in anytime. Next slide, please. Ayan. Editorials are curated points of view that makes the audience think and maybe act. Ngayon, aside from just sharing an opinion, meron kang end goal kay editorial. Ang editorial, gagamitin mo yan para makapag-udyok, to encourage people to think, to form their own opinions, and maybe even do something about the issue that you are discussing. Ito naman ay galing sa PBC. Ayan. Next slide, please. Ayan, editorial define. Sir Raymond, ayan, paano mo ba ma-define ng isang editorial?
Dalawa yung dalawa yung pinaghuhugutan ng editorial. So dito sa pinag-uusapan natin dito, meron isang essence yung mood niya, at saka meron isang technical. So actually, dun sa una mong dun sa bungad mo na usapan natin for the editorial. So the editorial really is the stand of a publication. Kaya later on, pag inisa-isa natin itong contents ng definition, yung essence ng editorial, makikita natin kung bakit kailangan paninindigan ng isang publication yung editorial, at saka bakit nade-define, nabibigyan ng konteksto, nade-define ng isang publication kung saan siya nag-stand sa isang issue, isang bagay, dahil dyan sa editorial niya.
Ang editorial ay, yun nga, ang essence, it is a strong voice, di ba, Sir Raymond? Parang hindi siya haka-haka, hindi siya basta opinion lang, ito ay boses. Pero, hindi tayo namimilit. When we write our editorial, it is not hard selling the idea that you want to present. Di ba? Hindi ka namimilit na ito ang paniwalaan mo. Di ba? You do that in a way that you can convince pero hindi ka namimilit. Parang 'di ba yung mga lumalapit sa atin na nagbebenta ng MLM. Minsan sa pilitan yan eh. Alam ni Sir Raymond yan. Yung mga namimilit na sumali ka sa MLM nila, that's hard sell. Ngayon, kapag nanood ka ng commercial ng Jollibee, for example, and it convinces you na, oo nga, gusto kong bumili ng Chicken Joy. Yan, that's the quiet voice. Diba? And it influences. Yung editorial also, it is empowering, di ba? You are not dictating your opinion on your reader. Diba? Binibigyan mo sila ng option. You are empowering them to think for themselves by presenting your facts and your basis. Yun. May idadagdag ka, sir. Ako, I think yung it becomes an LSS. Parang tumatatak siya sa isip mo. It's not, I'm sorry, there is somebody behind me.
Masaya no?
Oo, masaya.
Ay, dagdag ko lang yung
Yes,
ipwesto ko lang yung pinakadulo, yung sinabi na it represents the publication or a media outlet. That's why the editorial is usually written in third person, never in first person. Hindi siya nagsasabing I, hindi siya nagsasabing we. Inaako kasi niya yung usually an editorial is not written by one person. An editorial is a committee. It's a collegial effort. Maybe one person will draft it, tapos iikot sa lahat ng editors, maglalagay ng marginal notes. Tapos finally, darating sa editor-in-chief. Tapos, tsaka lalabas. Minsan, yung publisher, yung editor-in-chief, ipe-pen yung kanilang gustong sabihin. Pero kailangan umikot pa rin sa editorial board. Yeah.
Because it has to reflect everyone's stand.
Yes. Correct.
Yes. Next slide, please. Yan. Oto, nako, lalo na. Please. An editorial is a short essay. Huwag mo siyang habaan. Kahit sa Facebook, ang dami ko nang nakikitang sobrang habang posts ng mga tao to defend a stand. Alam nyo, hindi to paramihan ng salita. It is about the content that you are going to put out. It is the strength of your stand based on the facts and the basis, yung research mo. Hindi naman kailangan sobrang haba yan because lalo na ngayon, with people becoming more visual, wala na magbabasa niyan eh. Minsan na headline na lang ang binabasa ng mga tao. May opinion na sila. So, please, when you do write, even if it's not an editorial, you don't need to make it long form. As long as everything that you feel you need to say is already there. So it has to be tight and thought in its style. Tight and thought. Sipin mo na lang yung abs ng crush mo. Dapat ganun siya ka-solid. Dapat ganun ka mag-present ng natatawa si Sir Raymond. Ganun dapat ka-solid yung pag-present mo, di ba? And it offers a viewpoint on a controversial topic. You're not saying that yours is the only viewpoint. Maraming viewpoints yan. And you take those into consideration. But you propose a clear argument. Parang nag-aaway kayo ng jowa mo. Yan. Sino may jowa? Taas ng kamay. Chat me now. Sino ang may jowa dyan? O walang umaamin? Umaamin?
Tuturuan namin kayong makipagbardagulan.
Sana all. Senior Hannah sabi, sana all. Single kayong lahat. Nako. Ang sad naman. Wala. Married. O, si Miss Rosemary. Si Lexley sana all din. Si Rosemary married. Ayan. Pero si nako, may naglaglag. Si Gmar, 3 ang jowa. Gmar, siguro naman sana hindi silang 3 nandito sa ating seminar ngayon. Bad yan, ha?
I'm sorry.
Yan. Okay. So yun, di ba parang kapag nag-LQ kayo, di ba, hindi naman siya away na walang basehan eh. So pag discussion ka, hindi ka na makipag-away, but when you discuss, di ba? Bakit hindi ka nag-text sa akin kagabi? Dapat clear yung argument mo. Clear ang present, clear ang, si Jayan sana all din. Clear yung pagpapaliwanag mo, bakit hindi ka nakapag-text kagabi, di ba? So, ganun din. When you make your editorial, kailangan yung argumento mo malinaw. At hindi lang malinaw, may patutunguhan, di ba? So, it reflects your stance and your appeal o yung galit mo sa audience mo. Kung meron kang, if you feel passionate about a certain issue, di ba? Katulad ng pagiging tatlo ang jowa ni Gmar, di ba? That's how you, natatawatan si Sir Raymond, di ba? Kung passionate ka dun sa topic na yon, dapat yung editorial mo lumabas doon or mag-reflect doon the way that you write your argument. Yan. And it is honest. Kasi kung ang editorial mo naman ay based sa facts at sa research, magiging honest naman talaga siya. So, Gmar, maging honest ka. Okay. Next slide, please. Yan. Ito na yung interpretative na editorial. Sir Raymond, pa-explain.
5 klase yung editorial natin. Simulan natin dun sa interpretative. So, batay dun sa salita, nag-i-interpret siya ng isang sitwasyon. So, nagbibigay ng context about a particular situation. So, for example, nung nag-shutdown ng ABS-CBN, nung nagkaroon ng announcement ng shutdown ng ABS-CBN, May 5, naalala ko yan mabuti kasi ako yung naatasan sumulat ng editorial para umikot sa editorial board. So, ang definition dito sabi, explains or provides information or gives context to an event or an issue to raise awareness, di ba? So, nung naatasan ako, ang ginawa ko, nag-ikot ako ng blank sheet of paper sa editorial. Blank sheet of paper. Ang title lang, ABS-CBN Shutdown. And the editorial board published it as such. It was a blank piece of paper. Tapos yung editorial cartoon, drawn by Noli Doloricon, ay isang picture ng man na may parang padlock sa bibig. Sana ma-share ko sa inyo yung editorial na yun. But, see, it was an interpretation of the situation. Wala kaming masabi tungkol doon, di ba? So, ganun yung dating ng isang interpretative editorial. Actually, maraming dumarating na maraming mga interpretative editorials even before the elections, especially during the time of during the height of the EJK. Maraming mga ganyang lumalabas na parang ina-analyze or binibigyan ng konteksto yung isang sitwasyon. Back to you, man.
Binanggit mo yung ABS-CBN, na-hurt na naman ako. Isa po ako sa mga naapektuhan doon.
Oo nga, lahat tayo talaga. Oo, totoo yan.
Okay, next slide please. Yan. Critical. Nako. Lalo na ngayong election, ito ang very common theme ng ating mga editorial ngayon. Di ba? Ina-analyze natin kung bakit isang kandidato ang nanalo, isang kandidato ang hindi. Tinitignan natin yung sistema. So this type of editorial takes a deeper look and it looks at the cause of the certain issue that we have at hand, which is right now, yun nga, yung ating mga nangyari nitong election na ito. This is the most common kasi it is the most common form of editorial that is employed kasi usually, lalo na sa ating Pilipino, ito yung paraan para ma-explain din ng ating mga manunulat yung kinaugatan ng isang issue. Okay, next slide, please. Persuasive. Ayan. Kasi yung persuasive, para kang nanliligaw. Gmar. Yan. Si Gmar ulit. Persuasive, di ba? So, paano ka nakapagpasagot ng tatlong jowa, di ba? So, in this type of manner, you appeal to your reader. You present you present the outcome that you want to happen. Now, in Gmar's case, sagutin ka, di ba? So, pe-present mo bakit ako sasagutin, sabi ni Gmar. Oh. Yon. So, you write it in a way that you will convince your audience, your reader, hindi lang para maintindihan yung issue, pero to do something about it. Yan. OMG daw, sabi ni Gmar. Next, please. Narrative. Ayan. Sir, ikaw muna sa narrative at ito na naman yung aming train.
Sana umabot na yan dito sa amin sa San Pablo. Yung narrative po, as it says, kwento. Merong kwento yung merong gustong i-present na storya, di ba? If recently you've read, for example, yung sorry pala, nung nanalo si Idilyn Diaz, naglabas ang Inquirer ng isang editorial focusing on her. Tapos pag binasa mo yung editorial, kala mo kwento lang nung kanyang journey, maikling lang. Balikan ko lang ang editorial, essay siya. So mga 500 words or less, dapat may introduction, mga 3 hanggang 5 paragraph lang. Tapos may conclusion, yun yung structure ng isang essay. So diyan sa narrative na yan kay Diaz, kwento. Pero yung dulo ng kwento, sinabi, parang pinatutsadahan ang Philippine Sports or Philippine Olympic Commission doon sa dulo. Pero may kwento. So narrative siya, tapos pagdating doon sa dulo, merong parang tinusok yung Olympic Commission. So, yan ang isang narrative na editorial. Meron pa rin siyang bias, meron pa rin siyang pinaninindigan.
Parang, di ba, inumpisahan nila sa kwento ng ating gold medalist, di ba? Pero at the end, parang ang point doon is kailangan suportahan pa natin ang ating mga atleta para mas marami pa ang ating
Correct.
mga Diaz.
Correct.
Di ba? Yun. Kasi kinuwento yung paghihirap din niya sa training.
Yes.
Yung kawalan niya ng suporta. So, yung narrative, ginamit yun in a way to make a point. Kasi ito na yung example. Ginawa siyang example. Okay, next slide, please. Praising. Ayan. Ito naman, hindi naman tayo palaging tumutuligsa. Kasi ang impression sa mga journalists, lagi na lang tayo nang aaway. Hindi naman, di ba? Kapag may tama din namang ginawa, you can also use your editorial to illustrate, to highlight, di ba? To shine a light on somebody or an organization that is doing good, na nakakatulong naman. So, meron din naman tayong praising type of editorial. Yeah. Next slide, please. Ito na yung parts of the editorial. Ang tawag ng ating mga ang tawag ng mga ibang journalists ay lead dun sa ating title. Ang tawag ko dyan, head. Yan. Ako may head, may subhead.
Correct.
Diba? Ngayon, ito yung unang banat mo eh. Ngayon, ang technique dyan ngayon, di ba, title mo pa lang dapat, alam na ng reader what to expect from your story. Kasi kadalasan nga online, title na lang ang binabasa nila. So if your title is not exciting enough to them, or if they think that it will not add value kapag mag-spend sila ng ilang minuto na basahin ito, hindi ka na nila babasahin. So kailangan yung lead mo pa lang strong na. Okay. Tapos susunod dyan, after ng title mo, yung introduction. Parang nagsusulat ng ng love letter yan. Kailangan yung introduction pa lang din, first few sentences mo, ma-hook na agad yung reader mo. Kailangan strong din ng introduction kasi wala na rin talagang panahon ng mga taong magbasa na mahaba ngayon. If your introduction will capture their interest or encapsulate agad what you are trying to say, that is a good introduction. Kapag umpisa pa lang, hahabaan mo yung intro mo, para kang na wala namang pupuntahan, hindi ka nababasahin. Kailangan strong ang title, strong ang intro. Okay, susunod dyan, yun nga, an editorial presents your opinion. So you argue for your opinion. Di ba? Ito na yung argumento mo. Bakit ito ang opinion mo? You have to back it up. Kailangan yung opinion mo, di ba? Yun nga, sasabihin niya sa iyo na respect my opinion. Pag hiningan mo naman ng bakit yan ang opinion mo, hindi ka naman masasagot na maayos. Sasagutin ka na ng, basta. Hindi, may pinaghuhugutan ako dyan, di ba? Basta. So, dapat ikaw, as a journalist, as a writer, o kahit makikipagbardagulan ka sa Facebook, kapag may argumento ka, dapat may basehan ang argumento mo. You have to present facts. Swerte nyo nga ngayon because mas madali nang mag-research sa internet. So, you have a wealth of resources that are available to you. So, please be sure that you can present your argument properly. It is backed by research, it is backed by science, it is backed by data, by surveys, diba? Kahit surveys. Pero dapat yung survey mo legitimate. Yun. Evidence. So dun nga, so aside from your argument that should be based on facts, dun mo na ilalatag ngayon yung ebidensya mo. Sabi mo, si Jimar, nako, 3 ang jowa niyan. Asan ang ebidensya mo, di ba? So you have to present your evidence after your argument. Ang argument mo dyan, si Jimar, 3 ang jowa. Where's your evidence? Lalapagan mo na siya ngayon ng mga screen cap, yan, ng mga picture, yan. Wala raw evidence. Malinis ang pagkakatrabaho ni Jimar. Next slide, please. True, yon, malinis. Very good. Counter-argument. Yan. Para sabihin naman, kasi sasabihin ng media bias. Wala pa nga ED yun. Pwede recording may umaangal, Gmar. Pwede ba daw recording yung evidence? Nako, may pinanghahawakan si Child Faye. Lagot ka. Baka mamaya hindi na 3 ang jowa mo, 2 na lang. Feeling ko lang.
Tumalo na tayo maan sa refutation agad.
Ay,
sa ebidensya ni Child Faye. Diba?
Meron ng refutation. Pero dapat may counter-argument muna bago ka mag-refute, diba? So, ang counter-argument, para nga hindi sabihin na biased ka, you have to look at the different views of other people. I'm sure naman in your course, in the course of doing your research, meron ka rin namang mahahanap na research that might go against your opinion. So, kailangan, kung may mahanap ng gano'n, ipipresent mo rin. But, dun sa refutation, o may nahanap ka, kumontra dun sa opinion mo, there's a counter-argument. Sa refutation, dun mo i-explain bakit doon sa 2 magkasalungat na ebidensya na yan, or sa magkasalungat na opinion na yan, mas strong pa rin ang argumento or ang opinion mo. Yun. Tapos, in conclusion, you wrap it up. If there's something that you want your reader to do because of your editorial, doon mo na siya ilalagay. Yun na yung tawag namin sa PR, sa mga press release, yung call to action. Mapapansin mo yan sa end ng article kapag ito ay kunwari, ang article ay tungkol sa isang hotel dyan sa Osamis, di ba? Sa dulo nun, nakalagay na, book your hotel stay now. Visit, tapos andun yung website. That's your conclusion. That's your call to action. Pag nag-present ka na ng argument, nag-present ka ng counter-argument at na-refute mo na yun, saka mo ilagay, okay, so ito yung opinion, ito yung argumento, this is what you can do about it. That's how powerful an editorial is. Diba? And the fact that it's not written by just one person, but it is the stand of a whole publication, that gives it more gravitas. O ang lalim, diba? Gravitas. But totoo yun, mas malaman siya kasi hindi lang yan opinion ng isang tao. Yun. Next slide, please. Or next, ano na ba tayo? Next PowerPoint. Yun. Hello. Yan, si Gmar siguro nagpapawisan na ng malamig. Okay ka pa, Gmar? Hindi na yata. Nako, si Raymond. tayo pa yata ang magiging salarin. Yan. Next PowerPoint, please. So, wala sa inyong may gusto magtrabaho sa JAR. Lahat, ano bang gusto nyong gawin? Yan. What's your career plan? By the way, habang pine-prepare pa yung aking next presentation, when I told my friends that I will be talking to future journalists and future mass comm professionals, broadcom professionals, meron na nag-offer na, may job offer na para sa inyo. She's into PR and marketing, kung meron daw interesado. Work from home siya. And I will type in her email address later so you can send her your CV, your resume, your bio data. Yan. Wala pa yung ating next. We are having technical difficulties. Ayan. Habang nagte-technical difficulties sila, speaking of technical, Sir Raymond, i-plug mo sa kanila ang iyong talk show. May talk show si Sir Raymond.
Yan. Tuwing Tuesday po, ilalagay ko dito yung link. Ang title po niya ay Today's Tuesday. Meron din po kaming tuwing Sabado, ang title naman ay Tech Sabado. This is on YouTube. Dati po, kaya nasabi ko siya na apektuhan din kami ng ng ABS-CBN, pagsala ng ABS-CBN. Nasa Channel 5 po kami sa Radyo 5, yung Tech Sabado. 6 na taon na po nasa Radyo 5 tsaka Turbo Time, isa ko pang radio show yun. Tapos nung nagsarap po yung ABS-CBN, they took away the smaller shows and na-replace kami ng mga artists and shows galing sa ABS-CBN na lumipat sa Channel 5. Kasi po sila, darating sila doon to buy airtime, kami, gastos para dun sa TV5. So, yan po, today is Tuesday. I'll put the link here. Today is Tuesday, every Tuesday, 8 to 9 p.m. Ang tawag po namin sa show, Just Chatting. Kasama ko po si Jing Garcia doon, mga tito po ninyo. Talking about anything and everything. Although itong huli, puro election po ang pinag-usapan namin. Tsaka Tech Sabado, the longest running, I think, information technology show in the country. Yeah. So, salamat, man. Yan na ang
ating
part 2.
Yan. I typed in na yung email address ni Dessa Vertusio. She's looking for Marcom associates. Work from home yan. So, hindi naman yung kailangan pumunta ng Manila. Yun. Yan na. So, next slide, please. Yun. Sabihin nilang media biased.
Kasi kailangan.
Kailangan. Oo. Bias tayo tungo sa katotohanan.
Correct.
Meaning, hindi tayo pwedeng maglabas ng walang basihan. Biased, pero based on facts.
The truth, yes. Based on facts.
Next slide, please. And decide on a topic. Usually naman, kung ano yung laman ng front page.
Correct.
Magre-reflect din yan doon sa ating editorial. Kailangan very current ang editorial mo. Kailangan masagot kasi niya ang issue agad-agad. Okay. Next slide, please. Ayan, yun, research, di ba? Importante yan. Kapag isang journalist ka, kailangan talagang kasak ka sa research. At hindi lang yon. I guess you also need to be widely read. Hindi lang isa, dalawang source, or sanay ka talagang magbasa. I once held a seminar where one of the participants asked me, pwede ka bang maging writer kung hindi ka nagbabasa? You cannot.
You cannot.
You have to read. Is on a broad broad spectrum of topics.
Yep.
Next.
Dagdag ko lang dito sa research. Kasi napansin natin kanina, although alam ko 7 minutes na lang tayo, napansin ko kanina marami tayong engineering, architecture, mga non-com subjects, or people taking up courses that are non-communication. Pag gagawa kayo pag magda-draft kayo ng board or pag-aaralan nyo ang structure, kung chemical engineers kayo, pag-aaralan nyo yung valence and so on and so forth. Lahat po yun nakabatay sa research. So, mahalaga yung research kasi bukod sa it's a knowledge bank to verify what you have, dagdag karunungan, na-validate ninyo yung sarili ninyo. Diba?
Next slide, please. Ayan. Katulad ng ating mga parts of the editorial kanina, kailangan susundin mo yon, meron flow ang pagsusulat mo. Umpisahan mo dun sa iyong main idea at doon naman susunod na yung mga next sentences mo Diba? Kailangan lang klaro sa iyo, sa umpisa pa lang, kung ano yung gusto mong sabihin. At doon susunod yung outline ng iyong article. At yun, kailangan nga, at the very last bullet point, kailangan may ebidensya. Parang kay Gmar, kailangan may ebidensya. Hindi lang natin pwedeng ibintang na 3 ang jowa. At kailangan yan, coherent paragraphs, kailangan hindi ka parang tumatalon from one topic to another. Kailangan may flow nga, kaya kami outline para may flow ang iyong isusulat. Yan. Next slide, please. Write, rewrite, and rewrite. Depende. Depende kung may oras ka pa. Mag-write, rewrite, and rewrite again. Pero okay, this is something that my first ever editor taught me, which has served me well through my 20 plus, wag na nating kung gaano kahaba talaga yon, years of writing. Although our tip here is write, rewrite, and rewrite again, ang tip sa akin ng first editor ko, si Miss Cynthia Santiago ng Mod Magazine, do it right the first time. Yan. Next slide, please. Peer review. Since ang editorial naman ay hindi lang opinion ng isang tao, and it will be passed around sa editorial board, parang given naman siya that other people will have inputs on what you wrote. Diba? So, kapag meron silang sariling boses na gusto idagdag doon, as much as possible, at kung tumutugma naman siya dun sa research mo, i-include mo din ang kanyang mga thoughts and ideas. Yan. Next slide, please. Edit and proofread. Guilty rin ako dyan minsan. But sometimes kasi, sa sobrang ikaw yung nagsulat, you don't catch everything.
Correct.
If you write it yourself. Yeah. Mas maganda talaga that you get somebody else, kung hindi man for their opinion, to proofread what you wrote. Kasi minsan meron talagang nakakalusot. Yung minsan nasa diaryo or nasa magazine na may typo pa, maniwala kayo, hindi lang isang tao ang nalusutan ng typo na yun. Yun. Next slide, please. Some tips for good editorial writing. Ano ba ang ating tips? Next slide, please. Ayan, be decisive. Yun. Parang pag nagliligaw ka, Gmar, di ba? Paano mo napili na 3 sila? Pinagdesisyonan mo yan. So, be committed. Be committed. Panindigan mo yan. Kumbaga, ginusto mo yan. Be decisive. If you have an opinion, if you have a topic that you want to give your opinion on, kailangan firm ka. Hindi ka naliligaw doon sa gusto mong sabihin. Para pati yung nagbabasa sa iyo, hindi rin maligaw. Next slide, please. Ayan. Commit. Ayan, Gmar, ayan na naman. Commit, di ba? Dapat, panindigan mo nga siya. Kung ano yung opinion mo, kung ano yung isulat mo, what you put out, you should be able to put yourself 100% behind your article. Kasi nga, nag-research ka naman di ba? Hindi ka pwedeng mag-back down kasi ito na, yung napatunayan mo naman na yung opinion mo may basihan. Next slide, please. Familiarize with the topic or choose your passion. Dito tayo babalik sa sinabi natin kanina that you have to be well-read. Huwag kang mag-stick sa isang area lang. Even if, for example, you are in IT, di ba? Hindi lang naman, ang IT hindi lang naman siya isang area eh. Ang IT may ethics din yan, di ba? Alam mo yung may black ops yan, may white hat ops yan. Dapat yung knowledge mo doon sa field mo malawak. And how do you do that? You do that by reading. Tsaka mas maganda talaga kapag maraming areas of interest ka, kahit saan ka ilagay, kahit anong topic yan, kahit paano may alam ka. Yun. Next slide, please. Be relevant. Kapag editorial ka, yun nga, you reflect what happens on the front page. You reflect kung ano yung pinakamainit, umaatikabong balita, bibigyan mo ng opinion mo. So, dapat very timely ang topic na pipiliin mo para sa iyong editorial. Next, please. Express, not impress. Nako, maraming guilty dyan. Yan, yung mahilig sa thesaurus, Shift F7, kabisado ko yan. You know what? The more na gagawin mo mabulaklak yung salita mo, unless you are writing a literary piece, the more na gagawin mo mabulaklak ang sarili mo, the more what is that term in Bisaya? Maburaot ang reader mo sa iyo. Lalong mainis ang reader mo sa iyo. Hindi ka babasahin kasi paligoy-ligoy ka. So, write to express, not to impress. Write for your reader, not for yourself. Ang pagiging manunulat, hindi yan. It's not an ego thing. Okay? You are, especially if you're a journalist, remember that you are in the service of your readers. Hindi ito para sa self-satisfaction mo. Meron ka kasing pinaglalaban, kaya ka nagsulat. Yun. Next slide, please. I think that's the last one. Jmar, meron pa ba? Parang wala na, no? Wala na. Okay. Yun. So that is our presentation for today. Salamat sa pagtulong sa akin, Sir Raymond. I guess I can open for questions para sa aming dalawa ni Sir Raymond. Pero ako marami akong tanong para kay Jmar. Yan.
Yes, thank you so much, Ms. Maan. What a meaningful discussion we had, and I'm sure the aspiring editorial writers have so much questions in their minds. And with that, now is the time for you to ask questions to our dear speaker. And this part of our workshop will be an open forum. You may press the raise hand button and turn on your video and microphone.
Yan, pakita naman ako ng mga test ninyo. Ay, pag may naligaw sa Manila, sabihan niyo ako, add niyo ako sa Facebook. Magpoblasyon tayo.
Or if you try to ask questions, you can type your questions sa comments box.
Si Christine yata, nag-raise ng hand. Ay, ano ba yun? Napindot ko, oh my God. Yan. Wala kayong tanong. Tanong naman kayo. Yun na. Tsaka seryoso ako about poblasyon, guys. Sarap tumapay doon. Walang question yata. Angel, parang nahiya sila.
Anyone who would like to share how many paragraphs, according to Mylene, how many paragraphs should be composed in an editorial article?
Yun. I think yun nga, based on sa ating presentation din kanina, di ba? Maximum na siguro 500 words. When we write kasi, we don't go by number of paragraphs. We go by word count. So, usually mga 500 words or a little bit less. Basta ma-present mo na yung gusto mong sabihin, kasya na yun doon. So, pag 500 words, Sir Raymond, mga 4, 5,
Yeah
5
po.
paragraphs na.
500 words max na yun, mga 300 kung kaya nga ng 200. Tapos intro, 2 o 3 paragraphs, tas conclusion na. Dapat talaga mabilis. Yung practice po sa editorial kasi brevity, ilalagay mo lahat ng kwento. Kaya nga, maandun sa bahagi ng write, rewrite, and rewrite, is that usually you start off long.
So, yeah.
Diba, tas liliitan mo, sisikipan mo. Gagawin mo nga yung parang sinabi mo na magkakaroon ng abs. Ang ganda nung description mo, abs. Kasi, di ba, tight yun magiging masikip yung yep. So, yun. Tama yun.
Sipin mo yung abs ni Derek Ramsey, ganun.
Hindi ko yung kaya, akin bilbil.
Anymore. Yun. Oo nga, para marinig ko yung boses nyo. Tama yan. Tama yung sabi ni Gmar. You can ask your questions on your mic.
Tanong po kayo, no wrong question. Wala pong...
Yes, oo. There are no wrong
masaya lang po makarinig. Ayan.
We have another question po from Lexley. Should the introduction contain your stand po or just facts lang?
I think it's better to start with your stand and then follow it up with your facts to support kung bakit ito ang stand mo. Sabi mo, kunwari, guwapo si Gmar. Sige, ano yung facts mo to support your stand?
Another question po from Faye. Is it true, ma'am, in an editorial writing or piece, pag babasahin mo ang intro at in conclusion, you will get the context kahit hindi basahin ang body?
Okay. Ideally, sa intro mo pa lang, andun yung context mo. Kaya natin iiksian yan kasi nga, gusto natin, aside from the context of what you're trying to say, you also want to present kung bakit yun ang opinion mo. So, the shorter your editorial is, the more able you are to present your argument. So gets niya kung bakit kailangan short lang siya. Ganoon. Para kahit wala siyang oras or maikli ang attention span niya, kaya pa rin niyang daanan, kaya niyang pasadahan yung buong yung buod ng gusto mong sabihin. That is supported by facts. Kasi pag ang danger diyan kapag intro lang ang basahin at hindi lang mabasa, bakit sinasabi ni Angel yan? Wala namang, 'di ba? Aawayin ka kaagad, nilatag mo na nga, binigay mo na nga sa kanila kung bakit. So it's important na strong ang headline mo, tapos yung arguments mo, strong din. Tapos, it's in an easily readable format. Yan. Kaya hindi ka dapat paligoy-ligoy. Para pag binasa na isang tinginan, andun agad yung argumento mo.
Dagdagan ko lang dagdagan ko lang yung discussion na yon. Sagutin natin kay Shine Faye. The problem is that if you read the intro and then drop to the conclusion agad, usually kasi yung intro, naglatag siya ng something. So, for example, kaya question, isa sa mga techniques siya ng pag-set up ng lead, diba? Magtatanong, kaya question, did this generation betray us? For example, yun yung question.
Yes.
Tapos yung conclusion, biglang, yes, they did. Pero actually, dun sa body pala, kinikwento niya kung paano nagpunta doon. Tapos, biglang sinagot mo kagad, ay yes, they did. Pero yung katotohanan, yung konteksto, di ba? Maaaring hindi pala.
Tapos galit ka na.
Tapos galit ka na pagkatapos. Yan.
Tante, yung pagka-present mo.
Christine is raising her hand po.
Ayan, Christine, yes. Can I hear your voice, please? Nawala si Christine. Christine? Thank you then, child. Si Christine, asa na? Napindot lang daw. Sobrang excited nila kay Gmar. Napindot.
Pwede ka na rin magtanong kahit napindot mo lang.
Oo. Total, andyan na rin naman tayo, Christine. Pwede ka rin magtanong. Are there any more questions? Sabi yung matakot sa amin. Oh, yes. Ayan, si Maring Shania. Shania Twain.
Good afternoon po, Miss Maan and Sir Raymond.
Imik tayo, ha?
Hello, Shanaya.
Hello po. My question is, you said po na editorial should reflect your stance, appeals, or anger. To what extent po ng emotions yung dapat i-express sa article? What do we do po to not go overboard?
Number one, walang murahan. Okay. Sir Raymond,
That's
anong
a
sasabi doon? Hanggang saan pwede dalhin yan?
That's a very beautiful question. Kasi ganito ang nangyayari sa yung editorials kasi parang nag-develop pag nagbabasa tayo ng editorials yung basta yung editorials nung araw parang naging anong tawag dito malaman dahil hindi sila emotional. They attack a particular something using terse and thought and powerful language. Kaya nagigising yung emosyon mo. Ngayon, as it develop, parang nagiging emotional instead of intellectual yung isang editorial. Tapos pareho yung epekto, nagigising ka, di ba? Ang problema lang ng emotional, parang yun nga, pumasok ka sa isang kaya rin nakita mo na may nabasag, tapos pinagalitan mo kagad lahat ng tao, hindi pa yung pala pusa yung nakabasag ng baso na yun, di ba? So, ang sagot ko dun sa tanong mo, well, una, sabi ni Maan, huwag ka magmumura. Pangalawa, dapat kung gusto mong magalit, dapat magalit ka ng makatarungan. Di ba? Dapat merong batayan dyan. Tapos, pangatlo, huwag mong dalin yung usapan, the border, I think, kasi lalo na ngayon, napakaraming disinformation and misinformation. Pagka gagawa ka ng editorial, siguraduhin mo na doon ka sa tama, di ba? Nandun ka palagi sa tama. Don't even border to the edge of inciting something by throwing a half truth or something unverified or something like that. Di ba? Wag mong datingin yun. So, yun yung yun yung sagot ko dyan.
Thank you po.
What makes a good editorial? For me, a good editorial is something that makes your reader think or rethink their position and maybe even do something about the issue. Yun.
Yeah.
Ano pang Miss Universe yan?
Agree ako dyan, agree.
Kasi yun ang pinaka-goal mo yung mapaisip sila.
Correct. Dahil ang mundo, lalo na kayo, I'm sure everybody here is a digital native. Nag-transition ang mundo, nag-transition ang communications papunta sa more individualized at saka personalized form ng discussion, di ba? Mapapansin natin yan sa the way that we communicate on nung araw on text or on PM and so on and so forth. So, yung individuality na yon minsan nagkakaroon ng dyan nanggagaling yung respect my opinion, di ba? Pero pag bumuka ka kasi, pag binungad mo kagad yung respect my opinion, tapos hindi mo nire-respect yung opinion na nagsasabi sa'yo, adi walang balanse, di ba? The freedom of speech, which is always expressed in an editorial, is always limited by the rights and liberties of others. Tatandaan natin yun, di ba? So, yung good editorial, ang isang good editorial, dala-dala yon palagi. The respect, it is free speech but respecting the rights and liberties of others. So, yun yung I think yun yung perimeter, yun yung bakura natin para sa free speech. Para sa editorial.
May nag-raise ng hand kanina. Meron na naman talagang nandito sa likod ko. Say hi na nga. Come here. Say hi. Oh. What is the importance of the editorial in conveying information?
Correct. Tapos meron pang isa, Maan yung nauna, are editorials and columns the same in structure and in rules? Since
Okay.
opinion po silang dalawa.
Oo nga. Alright. Ang column kasi, as Sir Raymond explained kanina, third person siya kasi hindi lang isang tao ang nagsasalita dyan. Si columnist, opinion lang ngayon. Diba? That columnist doesn't speak for anyone else except for himself or herself. So, mas may bigat for me ang editorial kesa sa opinion column. Yun. Sorry, what's the second part of the question? Wala siya. Yun.
The second part is kung it is the same in structure and in rules.
Same in structure. Same rule applies. Huwag kang lalagpas. Do not abuse your power as a journalist to attack somebody without any basis. Same lang, di ba? Freedom of expression, freedom of the press, pero huwag kang mananagasa at lalo na kapag walang basihan. Yun. What is the importance in conveying information in these trying times? Nako, ang hirap. Sabi ko pa naman, hindi ako iiyak today. It is very challenging, guys. These days, it is very challenging. Media has been discredited, not just here, but in other countries like in the US, di ba? May mga taong mas pinipili na nilang maniwala sa kanilang mga alternative sources of information. So, ang kahalagahan ng editorial sa panahon na ito, especially on issues that will impact the country and the lives of so many people, is that ang laki ng responsibilidad mo habang ginagawa mo ang editorial ngayon. Kasi when you're writing that, you have the power to change people's minds about an issue. You have the power to explain why a certain issue can be solved in this way. You have the power to explain to people na hindi tama itong landas na pinatutunguhan na natin. Yan. Sir Raymond, may gusto ka idagdag.
Mahirap yung usapan po ng yung usapan kasi ng lalo kasi yung question is context on today. And minention ni Mark conveying information in these trying times, di ba? Una, totoo yung sinabi ni Maa na apektado na ang media. Apektado na ang media is called the fourth estate. Kaya siya tinatawag na fourth estate. And this is a purely American concept. Fourth estate kasi syempre meron tayong gobyerno, may executive, may judiciary, may legislative. Sinong nanonood sa kanila? Ang fourth estate, ang media, di ba? Pero ang laging sinasabi kasi, kaya nagkakaroon ng alternative media kasi daw bias palagi ang media. But we have to understand that because media represents a larger organization, not just one particular person, kinakailangan maraming mga opinion ng mapakinggan, lalo na sa editorial. Kaya yung importance of an editorial in conveying truthful, honest, sometimes hurtful information is very important talaga. Ang mahalaga, totoo. Kasi merong mga publications, merong mga online sites, napakarami nila na gumagawa ng editorial na puro kasinungalingan ang laman. Diba? Puro kasinungalingan. So, kailangan malaman natin. Tapos, syempre kasi, minsan pag nakakita, mas madaling ma-accept ang kasinungalingan kaysa ang katotohanan. Kasi minsan masakit ang katotohanan.
Yun, which leads us to Abigail's question. How do you handle the pressure of being in an editorial? What if your article contains a criticism of the person?
Yeah.
Yun. Yun nga. Number one, don't write it just for the sake of gusto mo manakit. Kahit minsan gusto na nating manakit. Diba? Kailangan kasi may basihan siya eh. You have to explain why your opinion on this person that you are criticizing is so. Ano ba yung misstep niya? Ano ba yung mali niya na dapat makorek or dapat malaman ng tao na mali na yung ginagawa ng taong ito?
Correct.
Yun lang. Kahit anong mangyari kasi ang takot dyan is baka malibel ka, for example. But if you are supported by facts, if you are supported by research, di ba, wala kang dapat ikatakot.
Tama.
Kahit mag-criticize ka ng tao. Yun. Oh, we are out of time na. Ayun. Angel, are we ano na?
I think that's all, Miss. Thank you so much.
Can I just give a closing statement?
Sure,
Ay,
sure.
pang final walk ng Miss Yu.
No problem, Miss.
Okay. I've been in this industry for a very long time. Probably before some of you are even born. What made me stay in media for so long? Well, of course, I will admit there are perks of the job. Nakarating ako as far as Cagayan de Oro in your area. Diba? Because we are exposed to so many things. I get to talk to so many people from siguro highest na from not this current president or the incoming president, but our past presidents, our still current vice president. Namimik ko sila hanggang sa bankero sa isang ilog sa Samar. It's a wide range of people and you learn something new every day. Okay. From each assignment, meron akong natututunan na bago. So if you're a journalist, you never stop learning. And you learn from the best people talaga because you talk to them firsthand. I started out like some of you here who are aspiring journalists, eager to use my words to make an impact in the world. Gusto kong baguhin, marami kong gustong baguhin. And that is how I still feel today. Ang advice ko sa mga gustong pumasok ng journalism is do not lose sight of what made you enter this profession. Tama yung nandun sa ating PowerPoint kanina. Words have power. And kami ni Sir Raymond, pinapasa na namin yung kapangyarihan na yan sa inyo. Being a journalist in the past 6 years has been difficult and it might become even more difficult in the coming years. Hold the line. Yun lang. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Miss Maan.
Thank you.
And Sir
Raymond.
Yes, Sir Raymond. Thank you so much, Maan and Sir Raymond. And at this point, to show our utmost gratitude and appreciation to our speaker, LaSalle University and Educational and Digital Media Services team present this certificate of appreciation to Ms. Maan Diasis Pamaran as our resource speaker for sulAtNIMO Journalism Workshop, Editorial Writing. And that ends our workshop. Thank you so much, Ms. Maan, for sharing your time and talent to our aspiring editorial writers. Every single individual at this workshop seemed completely absorbed by your discussion, and for sure, they will be carrying on a lot of learnings from today's workshop. To Ms. Maan, it is our tremendous honor to have you as our speaker today. We would like to say that we would not have been able to pull off a great workshop without your support. And we were only able to make our program a success due to your willingness to give your time for us. Also, we would like to thank our festival director, Mr. Ted Nugent Takan, to the co-director of sulAtNIMO, Ms. Syra Apolnarit, and the rest of the team. And of course, to our dearest participants from all over Misamis Occidental, LaSallian students, thank you so much for participating. Before we end this workshop, we are reminding everyone to please don't forget to scan the QR code flashed in your screens for your attendance.
Thank you.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, ends our workshop. I hope you had fun and may this inspire and drive each and every one of you to write more from this day on. Once again, this is Pagod. May you all take care and may God bless you. Animo, LaSalle.
Thank you everyone for joining our sulAtNIMO workshop. I hope you enjoy and learn a lot.